The man who sabotaged the Nazis with a dipstick. Hi, I'm Kevin Hunter, the Homework Guy. Normally I'm doing stories on the automotive industry today, but this is a car story, and it's such a great story, I just had to share it. Sometimes the most powerful act of resistance doesn't look like resistance at all. It's kind of sneaky. It doesn't involve a gun. It doesn't involve an army. Sometimes it looks more like a guy just showing up for work. And today I want to tell you about one of the most fascinating stories I've ever heard. It's a story of a French businessman who allegedly spent years helping destroy the Nazi war machine from the inside, one tiny mechanical problem at a time. The year was 1940. France had fallen. German troops marched into Paris. The Nazis now controlled one of the most powerful countries in Europe. And just like every occupying force throughout history, they wanted the factories. Because armies don't run on courage. They run on logistics, fuel, trucks, engines, parts, transportation. If the trucks stop moving, the army stops moving. And one of the factories Germany took control of belonged to Citroen, one of France's largest automobile manufacturers. And yes, Citroen still exists today and is very much an active part of France. It is one of the country's most historic car brands, having been founded in Paris in 1919. The Germans had a simple plan during the war. Keep the factory running, keep the workers running, keep the vehicles rolling off the assembly line. Use French labor to help Germany win the war. Simple. At least on paper it looked simple, because sitting at the top of Citroën was a man named Pierre-Jules Boulanger, a businessman, an engineer, a factory executive, and according to historical accounts, a man who had absolutely no intention of helping Hitler. Now, think about his situation. He had choices. He could flee the country. Many people did. He could openly resist. Many people did that too. But open resistance often ended with prison, torture, or even execution. So Boulanger chose a different path. He stayed right where the Germans wanted him, inside the factory. And that's where things get interesting, because according to stories that emerged after the war, Boulanger and trusted employees began fighting back in a way the Germans never expected. Not with bullets, but with engineering. One of the most famous stories involves something so small that most people would never think twice about it. An oil dipstick. That's it, a dipstick. The thing you pull out of your engine to check the oil level. According to post-war accounts, measurements were subtly altered, just enough that an engine could appear to have sufficient oil, when it actually didn't. Now, imagine you're a German military driver. You check your oil. Everything looks fine. You're good to go. You drive another 100 miles, then another 100, and then another, and eventually your engine starts suffering damage. Parts wear prematurely. Temperatures rise. Mechanical failures increase. Vehicles break down. Repairs pile up. Schedules get disrupted. Resources get wasted. And here's the brilliant part. Nobody immediately suspects sabotage because nothing exploded. Nothing looked broken. There was no obvious act of resistance. The Germans often blamed mechanics, their maintenance crews, the drivers, poor upkeep, just bad luck, anything except the possibility that someone inside the factory was quietly working against them. The factory kept operating, vehicles kept being produced, and everything looked normal. But underneath the surface, the system wasn't working quite the way it was supposed to. And that's what makes this story so fascinating. Because Boulanger understood something many people miss. Large systems depend on trust. Trust that measurements are accurate. Trust that procedures are being followed. Trust that the people inside the system are doing what they're told. Once that trust breaks down, the system begins breaking down too. Sometimes very slowly, sometimes visibly, but it breaks down nonetheless. And according to historical accounts, the dipstick story wasn't the only example. Boulanger reportedly worked to delay production whenever possible. He allegedly helped shield workers from forced labor programs. He quietly supported resistance efforts while maintaining the appearance of cooperation. Imagine the pressure. Imagine showing up every day knowing one mistake could get you arrested. One wrong conversation, one careless comment, one person talking to the wrong official, and your life could be over. Yet he continued, year after year, keeping up appearances, playing the role expected of him, while quietly doing everything possible to make the occupation more difficult. By the later years of the war, German authorities were becoming increasingly suspicious of him. Resistance movements were growing. industrial sabotage was becoming more common. According to later reports, Boulanger eventually appeared on lists of individuals targeted for arrest. Had the Gestapo gotten to him first, there's a very good chance we wouldn't know his story today, but history took a different turn. The Allies advanced. France was liberated. The occupation ended. And one of my favorite parts of this entire story is what happened next. Nothing. No victory parade, no dramatic speeches, no movie ending, no standing on a stage taking credit. He simply went back to work. Years later, workers and historians began sharing stories about what happened inside those factories during the war. Tiny acts of resistance, small adjustments, subtle sabotage. Defiance measured in millimeters rather than artillery shells. Now, historians debate some details. As with any wartime stories, certain accounts rely heavily on post-war recollections, and that's important to acknowledge. But even if every individual story isn't perfectly documented, the broader lesson remains incredibly powerful, because this isn't really a story about dipsticks, it's a story about courage. It's a story about understanding where your leverage exists. It's a reminder that not every battle is fought in the open. Some people resist by charging the front lines. Others resist by making sure the machine never quite runs the way it's supposed to. Pierre Boulanger understood something that every powerful institution eventually learns. A system can look perfectly healthy from the outside while slowly falling apart from within. And sometimes the most dangerous opponent isn't the one openly fighting you. It's the one smiling politely while tightening a bolt just a little bit differently than you expected. I'm Kevin Hunter, the Homework Guy, and sometimes the biggest stories in history aren't about the people carrying rifles. They're about people carrying a toolbox. If you enjoyed this story and would like to hear me read other stories, please let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you for listening.